Now let's look at the kick drum. This is perhaps the most important and challenging aspect of a killer drum mix. The low frequency content can be hard to work with, and we've got to get time alignment really good if it's going to be brought through in the overall mix. First thing we're going to look at here is the noise gate. We're going to try to remove the snare drum from the recording. We're going to do that by first using the threshold until it's gone. Now notice that there is a click. That's distortion. We're going to have to use the look ahead command here to see if we can remove that. That's better. So now let's look at the hold time. We want the body and the weight of the kick to come through. And then the release time, just to keep it tight. That's good. Okay, now onto EQ. We're going to use subtractive and additive EQ here to carve deep into the sound. First, take out some subsonics, boost some of the weight, carve out some of the middle. We just want to leave the low end weight and the presence. So we're going to put some high frequency boosts in here, a little bit of air. That'll help it cut through the mix. Remember that the overheads are going to be providing a lot of the kick sound as well. So now onto compression. Here again we're going to be trying to allow the punch and the weight through. So we have to slow this down. This is what low frequencies do to a compressor. You've got to work with slow times. And the release control, we're going to move just to make sure the body of the kick drum is in the mix but is tightly controlled. So now we need to think about the time relationship between the kick drum and the overheads. So what I'm doing next is I'm using the drag method, and I'm going to find a kick drum peak in the audio window here that I can use to move left and right until I think I'm hearing the best low end response. Now we're just going to do this manually by picking it up with a mouse and moving it. So let's bring in the overheads and see how the two react to each other. So I'm going to move it left and right, and I'll be listening out for what happens to the very low end. The more low end I hear, the happier I will be. It can be quite subtle. I'm listening for the smearing of the low end and the retention of some of that punch and weight that we tried to build in using compression and gating. This is trial and error. Now, it's important to remember that the apparent timing of the audio taken from the waveform is not necessarily exactly how it's hitting the main bus. And that's because each plugin that you add to a track introduces a phase shift. So remember always to mix with your ears. Here's how it sounds with the processors disabled. And now back in again. I think you can hear the difference.